welcome. You're watching The Devi Show. Thanks for tuning in. It's another 30 minutes where we expose scams and then take you into a world of the weird and wonderful. Here's what we've prepared for you. He marketed an independent school, advertising small classes. Didn't take long before he had to shut shop, leaving pupils in the lurch. Hello? When did they go? They left about 2 months ago. She loves putting food not on her plate or in her mouth, but on her face.
So I went, bought a pineapple, came back home, set my tripod up and just took one picture with the pineapple. Loved it. People went crazy for it. And then I just started rummaging through my fridge.
He sold them a promise. He told them they could safely place the responsibility of the education of their children in his hands. Months later, parents and pupils realized that not everything was as it seemed at Bright Sparks Academy in Ormonde, south of Johannesburg. To survive and thrive in a competitive world, education is key to the future success of young people. And parents will make personal sacrifices to ensure their children get the best possible foundation. Bright Sparks Academy, run by Yassine Ismail and his wife Zahira, which offered small classes and advertised quality one-on-one tuition, seemed like the perfect solution after months of hard lockdown and online learning for Faj Sayed and her son Samir.
Students were not doing any work at school, and my son was getting a bit tired at home doing nothing, being in grade 11. At that time, there were about 5 grade 11 students, and they were getting individual attention. That's the reason I actually put him in that school.
The school had about 40 learners from grade R to matric. So as the principal, was he also a teacher?
He was the owner, the principal, and the teacher.
Is he a qualified teacher?
I have no idea.
Part of Yassine's credentials touted to prospective parents was his track record as an experienced tutor, his Oxford University doctoral degree, as well as his claim that he was a psychologist. Yassine also seemed to be a multi-skilled educator, teaching a very wide range of subjects to students in the higher grades.
English, Afrikaans, Maths, Hello, Business, History, Tourism.
That's a lot for one teacher. Was he a good teacher?
He was okay. We passed grade 11.
Bhavini Dalpat, a qualified psychologist, says she was recruited by Yassine Ismail as a school counselor and to teach English and life orientation. She says although not a qualified teacher, she was one of the few teachers with any qualification.
Some of the teachers that were present, not everyone was qualified or equipped or experienced to be there.
So when you say some of the teachers weren't qualified, give me an understanding of the caliber of the teachers.
Some, not even a matric.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So basically, grade 7, some final year of studying. Yeah. But no one with a teacher's qualification.
Lebogang Munchane, Executive Director for the Independent Schools Association of South Africa, ISASA, says teaching staff at independent schools must be qualified educators.
They need to make sure that all the educators in that school are registered with the South African Council for Educators, SACE. That is a requirement of every single educator in South Africa. You cannot be in a school interacting with pupils in terms of delivery of education without being registered with SACE.
Lebogang says claims made by teaching staff at Bright Sparks Academy that they had qualifications other than actual teaching qualifications does not allow them to work as educators at schools.
But there's no such thing as I've got prior learning, therefore I'm qualified to teach. You need to have the qualifications.
The parents were oblivious to this, and everything ran smoothly until the learners got wind of the fact that the school was not registered with the Department of Basic Education, meaning the students couldn't register for their matric exams.
All my friends in other schools were getting these papers.
And nothing for you?
Nothing.
Natasha Ali, who had also enrolled her children at Bright Sparks, says she also became suspicious when she realized her son hadn't been registered to write his matric examinations.
Immediately when I started calling to get feedback on the application and stuff like that, he ignored me. Already then I knew something was wrong.
Then, in February this year, Yassine did a disappearing act and without any explanation, simply never returned to the school.
When I got there, it looked like a chaos zone. Kids were running all over, standing around, chilling, nothing's happening educationally.
Samir says tensions were running high that day. Did it get violent?
Yeah, with one student and another student.
But now there's no adult supervision at all.
Yeah. Well, there were maybe 3 people over the age of 18, maybe 19, 20.
This raised the ire of the parents who, armed with the school registration certificate, which Yassine had provided, approached the local education registration office. Curiously, the certificate said the school was registered to a Wahid Khan and not Yassine Ismail.
They put that registration number on the system and it said invalid school. They tried both those registration numbers and both said invalid school.
Infuriated, parents took matters into their own hands and shut down the school.
You must be registered with the Provincial Department of Education, and any school that is not registered is an illegal school.
Lebogang says having valid exam results becomes even more important in the final 3 years of school.
So it is fundamentally important for the school to be registered, and those learners must be registered in grade 10. Because the qualification is 10, 11, 12. So the school-based assessments in those years form part of promotion requirements, and certainly when you write the NSC, the National Senior Certificate, there's a school-based assessment portion to that mark.
Adding to the confusion, just days after parents closed Bright Sparks Academy, Provincial Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona contradicted local officials in a national news report, saying Bright Sparks Academy was operating legally.
We can confirm that the school is registered with the department. They also have what we call an EMIS number. All our independent schools, including public ordinary schools, they will have that.
He made us a fool. Because whether he did his homework and he's checked everything before he was interviewed, I have no idea.
In an effort to get clarity, we contacted Musibudi Makubela, head of independent schools at the Gauteng Department of Education. She confirmed that Yassine Ismail is not a registered school owner or a qualified teacher. So now you've got the story now with Yassine Ismail, who claimed to have been running Bright Sparks Academy. Was he ever registered with the department?
No, not at all.
Not as an individual. I'm sure you ran his ID number and every single detail you could possibly find.
No, we have actually checked everywhere. There is we don't know that name.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Coming up, we confront Yassine's wife Zahira and she turns the tables on the department and us. The department is lying now. Department is lying, parents are lying, the students are lying, I'm lying, Wahid is lying.
Devi.
What?
I think you are lying because you seem to us like a liar.
Welcome back. You're watching The Devi Show. If you're just joining us, before the break, part 1 of our story on Bright Sparks Academy in Johannesburg. Parents were promised small classes and individual attention, but in under a year, the wheels came off. In part 2, owner and principal of the school, Yassine Ismail, does a duck and dive. After the initial complaints we received from parents whose children attended Bright Sparks Academy in the south of Johannesburg, we did our own digging and tracked down Wahid Khan, who appears as the owner of Bright Sparks Learning Academy, not Bright Sparks Academy on the original registration certificate. I'm going to show you this document. This is the document that Yasin has been using.
Can I grab it?
Yeah. Yasin has been using that
Okay.
and showing it to parents to prove the legitimacy of his school, Bright Spark Academy. Does that look familiar to you?
Very familiar.
Why?
That's my own phone that I used to have.
You sure about this, Waleed?
100%. That was given to me by the department.
So-
and my school was run here. You see there, it's written the address and everything. That's where I ran my school from. It's exactly where I did.
Wahid originally opened the school in 2013 and ran it from this address in Dolly Ratebe Street in Fordsburg. He closed his doors in 2017 when it wasn't proving to be financially viable. The department's Mosubudi Makubela explained that the address is significant.
Remember when we register a school, an address is everything. It's very important.
Explain why.
One of the things we look at is whether the school is zoned appropriately. That's the first thing. So we have to look at whether the person has a zoning certificate, whether they have an occupation certificate. We have to check if the school is safe.
But from what people have said to us, he used the reputational value that belonged to you.
That's unfortunate because my reputation is going to be dragged through the mud because of this now.
Because even when you closed your school, there weren't any negative stories around it, right?
There wouldn't have been any, none whatsoever, as far as I know.
In fact, when the Devi team did a background check on Yasin's other credentials, remember he touted himself as a qualified therapist? The Health Professions Council of South Africa says they have no such person registered on their system. And the Psychological Society of South Africa says he's not affiliated to the oversight body in any way, and his use of their logo amounts to fraud. It was time to track down Yasin. There were too many unanswered questions. Initially, Yasin agreed to a telephonic interview. So if you could do a telephonic, when will that be, you think, Yasin?
When would you like it to be, Devi?
A Wednesday. I know Wednesday I have a small gap.
This Wednesday?
Yeah, this Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
Okay, that will be fine for me.
But then he started ghosting us.
You have reached the man.
When it was clear he wasn't going to honor our arrangements, we called his wife, Zahira. You and Yasin were running a school, both of you were running a school that was deregistered with no permission from the department. That's
The school was not deregistered. It's registered. The man did even studied on national news. He said that the school is registered. It has an EMIS number.
So guess what, Zahira? Guess what? The department has admitted that was a mistake.
Oh my God.
So now what?
I don't believe all of that.
So the department is lying now. Department is lying, parents are lying, the students are lying, I am lying, Wahid is lying.
Baby.
What?
I think you are lying because you seem to us like a liar.
Fed up with all the ducking and diving, we went looking for Bright Spark's owner, Yasin Ismail. This is one of the addresses I have for Yasin here in Crown Gardens. Let's have a look and see if he's here. Hello? Hello? Eventually, a tenant came out. But Yasin is here.
No, they're not here. I don't know where they went.
When they went?
Long time in this people's property.
Okay, so he doesn't, Yasin is not here. You haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, he's not here. His children not here. His wife not here.
Okay.
Nobody's here. I don't know where they are.
Even his own close relative says the couple have literally disappeared into thin air.
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know any numbers of them. They don't
Okay.
answer their phone calls. They don't, tell us where they are.
But she did seem to back Yasin's story.
There's a lot of nonsense that was going on in the school. They said the school wasn't registered when it was registered.
No,
and
it
stuff
actually,
like that.
I can confirm with you that the school was not registered and the teachers were not qualified. I mean, Yasin himself is not a qualified teacher.
Oh my God.
You see? And all the other addresses turned up nothing too. Hello? The address that's registered is number 1, and my assumption is that this is number 1 here downstairs. Yasin! Someone was clearly inside, but at first, no one responded. A lot of curtains are flickering, guys. Then someone who claimed to be a relative came to the window. When did they go? They left about 2 months ago. Do you know where? You don't know. In a handwritten letter to us, Yassine was adamant that Wahid Khan had given him permission to take over Bright Sparks Academy. This despite Wahid and the education department's outright denials. However, Yassine did admit that the teachers he employed were not qualified educators and that this prompted him to change Bright Sparks Academy to a tuition center. And remember that doctoral degree in psychology from Oxford? In his letter, Yassine questions how the Devi team got hold of the certificate. He now claims it was part of his personal vision board. And while Yassine is clearly on the run, it's ultimately learners like Samir and his former classmates from Bright Sparks Academy who have to pay the ultimate price. Most are finishing through online institutions and many have to repeat an academic year.
If you as a child have found yourself at a school that's not registered, you're not able to do your matric at that school, all is not lost. And if you repeat a year, it's fine. It was not your fault. But it is important that you make sure that you cover the fundamentals so that when you come to matric, it's a very good matric and you know that you can go on and do something else at a tertiary level.
As a parent, right? How do you feel?
Very angry because it's a waste of not 1 year, but 2 years.
And it hurts because Yassine has just moved on.
After the break, she creates food art and styling on her face and then takes selfies. Frosted cupcakes, raw honey, exotic fruit. These are not ingredients for a recipe. These are the props in photographer Christy Strever's delectable food selfies. Yep, you've got to see this. It's pure art. While most of us chop and slice up fruit for salads, desserts, and sometimes even for beauty treatments, Christy Strever has other ideas.
So I went, bought pineapple, came back home, set my tripod up and just took one picture with the pineapple. Loved it. People went crazy for it. And then I just started rummaging through my fridge.
Christy is a photographer who does selfies, food selfies. Local media has even dubbed her the food selfie queen. Why do you do this?
Because it's fun. It's fun. And you know, I love to keep entertained.
The attention from that first Insta moment kept her entertained for over 3 weeks, after she made a promise to her followers that she would do a food selfie every day for 25 days in a row.
Once that 25 days was up, I didn't take selfies for a year because I just needed a break. Yeah, I couldn't look at my face anymore. I couldn't do it.
So we would see these as ingredients for recipes, but they end up quite differently through Christy's eyes. And don't get her started on breakfast cereal.
If liquid has been thrown at me, I get one take. For powders and stuff, that's not too bad because I have to have the powder on me anyway. But I set myself up in the bath and do a milk bath. And then I have to put the tripod has to go in the bath and over me. So I'm literally lying underneath. That's when I did strawberry pops. I mean, I've done a lot in the bath, but then I'd make the water pink, just put loads of strawberry pops and then did...
All by yourself?
All by myself, yeah.
Her love for the lens began around the age of 11 when Christy's mom recognized her daughter's talent. She gave her a camera and took her to Namakwalan to photograph the flowers.
My mom was just like, you have to get into photography. So she was running a tourism website, and in order to get traffic to the website, I would go take pictures of all the events and everything happening, and that's how the bug bit. And the next thing I knew, people were requesting me to photograph weddings, or events, and then I had to choose, am I going to stay running the website or am I going to become a photographer? And I was living in Plet at the time, so I chose to become a photographer, which was very tough because it's a very small town and I was new. So when I turned 30, I shaved my head and then moved to Joburg and became a photographer full time.
To prove she's a crazy Joburger, Christy suggests a bee and honey shoot. You guessed it, honeycomb, homemade little buzzy bees flying around and pouring honey on her face. The result? It's incredibly gorgeous.
Do you get like strange interest from guys trying to get a bit kinky? Because they think that food selfies is maybe like a whole other...
For the Nutella shoot, yeah.
There we go. I knew it. And? Tell us what happened first.
Okay, so I decided I had to do Nutella, and this was right when I first started. And I got a whole jar, and I just smeared it just everywhere, and did the pictures, and getting that off was next to impossible. But then the comments, yeah, I did. I got some very odd comments from men, you know, with the Nutella one.
So to test Christy's creativity to the max, we invited pink lifestyle entrepreneur Bourgeois Brazil to the studio. Formerly known as Barbie, the Devi Show viewers may remember her pink palace complete with pink pets. Candy floss hair, check. Bold eyes, check. Larger than life lashes, check. And adorable little cupcakes. Splashes and smears of pink frosting, and 2 hours later, Bourgeois' dream of being a walking, eating, talking pink delight has come true. Christy wasn't always a photographer. She's a professional chef by trade, but hasn't worked in a kitchen since 2010. However, her passion for food is real.
My food selfie account, so Gordon Ramsay actually started following me when I had about 500 followers, and I used to be a chef, so I couldn't speak for about 15 minutes because he was following me. And every time when people ask me about it or if I get interviewed, I just quickly check to make sure he's still following me, but he's still there.
And funnily enough, her favorite shoot doesn't involve food. It involves drink.
So there's one shoot, it's my favorites because I was using watercolor paints, and I did a glass on my cheek with ice, and I had the Jack Daniels bottle, so to make it look like Jack Daniels was splashing into a glass on my face. How I managed to paint that using watercolor paints, I mean, that to me was amazing. It didn't even come out the bottle. I just had to, I can't see where the level is, so I just have to guess. I mean, a lot of it's guessing work to get my eye in focus while I'm taking the picture, you know, because my eye is the main thing. I've got to stand, make sure I'm like in the camera right, you know, just...
So from being a car salesman, a chef, a waitress, it's true, if you have the eye for it, keep your eye on your passion. And that's it from us. This is your show, so reach out with story ideas via devi@etv.co.za or tag us using #Devi on social media. From me and the Devi team, until next time, heads up, South Africa. Let's keep our eyes fixed on the horizon. We've got this.